Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing on this fabulous 4th of July weekend? Fantastic. My kids have been praying for rain because Amber's parents have some land up a little north of Ray Roberts up there. And so they've been wanting to shoot fireworks. And the only way we're going to shoot fireworks is if it rains. So they've been praying for rain. And yesterday morning, all of a sudden, this storm just kind of came back up through Denton. And I believe we got rain. So I think we're shooting fireworks up at Amber's parents' house this weekend. That'll be a lot of fun. But welcome to the Center of Unity. We are glad that you are here this morning. If you're joining us online, we want to say welcome to you as well. And if you would just put an emoji or stick something in there and let us know that you're with us this morning, we sure would appreciate it. We'd love to have a record of you being with us this morning. We're going to go ahead and get started this morning. Your grace is enough. Let's do it, shall we? 1, 2, 3, go.
Great is your faithfulness, oh God. You wrestle with a restless heart. You lead us by still waters into mercy, and nothing can keep us apart. So remember your people, remember your children, remember your promise, oh God. Your grace is enough, your grace is enough, your grace is enough for me. Your love and justice, God. You use the weak to lead the strong. You lead us in the song of your salvation, and all your people sing along. So remember your people, remember your children, remember your promise, oh God. Your grace is enough, your grace is enough, your grace is enough for me.
Let's do that again. Your grace is enough.
Your grace is enough. Your grace is enough. Your grace is enough for me. So remember your people, remember your children, remember your promise, oh God. Your grace is enough. Your grace is enough. Your grace is enough for me. Your grace is enough. Your grace is enough. Your grace is enough for me. For me.
Well, good morning, everyone. Boy, we may not have a full house in the sanctuary today, but we got a full house of singers today. So we are really blessed to have all these beautiful voices. The choir's going to be with us here a little later and share their gift of music for all of us. So it's a good day, and we hope for those of you who are watching us through our live stream that you will feel the energy of all this beautiful music that's going on here today. We are blessed, we are grateful, and we celebrate this day and each and every day as an opportunity to know that not only those sitting in this room, but those across the world are indeed children of God. All right, I'm going to let you take it away again.
We're going to do it again. Watch your words on the screen. This is a little new. We've done it before, but it's a little newer. So we're going to do this one together with us. Lloyd, why don't you lead us off? Just relax in this moment.
Breathe on me, breath of God. Fill me with life anew, that I may love the way you love and do what you would do. Breathe on me, breath of God, until my heart is pure, until my will is one with yours, to do and to endure. Breathe on me, breath of God. Fill me with life anew, that I may love the way you love and do what you would do. That I may love the way you love and do what you would do.
Good morning. I'm Mary, and this is my partner, Phyllis. Phyllis. You're not Phyllis. Mary, and I said Phyllis. Okay, so no, she's not. She's in the Bloodmobile. This is actually our little song and dance routine that we do every Sunday morning to make you laugh. So this is Barbara, I think, and we're on the care team. I know that makes you feel insecure, and we'll be here after service, or I will, and I'm going to probably get Matt be with me because he has to go in the bookstore. Anyway, so now a little serious. The day. I seek, trust, and follow my guidance.
Seeking divine guidance means tuning out information and opinions and turning inward. Then, with an open heart and quiet mind, I can better feel the nudge of my intuition, my inner voice. I receive divine guidance much in the way flowers in a field soak up sunshine. Just as following the sun is innate for them, I have the instinct to trust my inner knowing, even if my guidance surprises me. I trust it to lead me on the path to my highest good. I follow where I feel called to go. I heed the still small voice within and pay particular attention to the serendipitous circumstances I find along the way. I seek, trust, and follow my guidance. As I do, I deepen my relationship with God, knowing wherever I go, I do not travel alone.
And from Isaiah 58:11, the Lord will guide you continually.
I'll go in the middle here. There we go.
Okay. So as we bring forth this prayer box as a symbol of all the prayers in your hearts and in the hearts of everyone in our nation, as well as the prayers of those who have filled the the prayer box and are filling it now. We know and affirm that healing is present for everyone who needs it. They step into it. They are aware that God is all good and all powerful, and that they do not inherit illness as a child of God. For the joys that have been placed in this prayer box, we rejoice. And for the healing prayers, we know those, affirm those, and pray with everyone. And so, amen.
Beautiful. Thank you. So I'm going to go slightly off topic this morning, although it is a very central discussion that's happening within not only this community, but in many church communities around the world. Because there's been a whole lot of discussion about shifting from this minister-centric model of doing church that has been in place for eons. It's sort of that top-down pastor flock model to a more community-driven, mission-centric model. But nobody really knows exactly how to do this. That's one of the challenges. But blazing this new trail for unity, for new thought, are the Reverend Dr. Gary and Jane Simmons, who have been working on this for a couple of decades and not only sort of developed a model, but went out and took on a unity church in Washington State, and for 6 years sort of experimented with different aspects of this to see what worked and perhaps what didn't work. And they've created this in the framework of what's called an integral model. And I'm not going to go into that today. Integral model is something that Ken Wilber, who, if you just want to go Google him, you'll find 80 million YouTube videos with him in it, and he has several books out there that you could read. But I've been interested in this. Many ministers come in and we say, yeah, we want to be mission-centric. And they say, yes, I want to be mission-centric too. And then we try and figure out what the heck does that mean, and what does it look like, and how do we operate in that way? So this past year, they have begun to offer this as a year-long program through Unity Worldwide Ministries, a certification program. And I've just completed my first semester of this and just trying to get as much understanding and knowledge as I can. And I want to share some of that with you. That evolution that's unfolding, the enthusiasm behind it has been brewing, like I said, more than even 2 decades. It's probably been brewing since the 60s in many ways. And it's becoming more and more urgent. I've known this for several years. Perhaps you've intuitively felt it, even if you didn't know statistics, but according to the Gallup polls, who've been starting to gather this information since around 1940, specifically polling, they do a lot of things, but polling different church communities across denominations, what they're reporting today is that church attendance has declined across the board. With the exception of a few evangelical churches out there, the rest are all in decline. And that includes what we've experienced within Unity. In 1940, 73% of people said that they regularly attended church. In 2020, that percentage was 47%. And among millennials and Gen Zers, it's 36% who say that they affiliate with any kind of religious, even spiritual community. And while there have historically been many challenges to this minister-centered model, including a tendency for family dynamics to brew and erupt within the community. Have you ever experienced within a church community challenges, difficulties, differences of opinions, upset over something that's happening or not happening? If you've been around for very long, chances are and it tends to be, the model tends to be that the minister and the board are supposed to take care of it, to make it all better, just like the parents are charged with that within family dynamics. But the bigger challenge in all that, that's always been a challenge throughout the history, because whenever there's a group of people, there's going to be challenges within that group of people. It's just the way we are as human beings. But the whole model no longer seems to appeal to a vast majority of people. This sort of model where I'm up here and I feed you and then you take that and hopefully go out and have that impact the world around you. So this new model that we're beginning to explore and that we've done some experimentation affects every aspect of the ministry. It's not just about what the Sundays look like, but it's about how we are as an organization, how we be with each other. And it includes, Nick, if you want to put that slide up, there's your typical spiritual leader and board. I don't know how well you can read that. But there's also an evolutionary council in this new model. There is a spiritual cooperative. It's a different way of looking at how we gather together and what our roles are in that. It's filled with conscious conversation. It has a shadow work component, explicit roles and accountabilities, an integral membership system that gives people a clear path from when they first show up to how they can then be an integral part of that community. It includes things like spirit groups, which we're doing, so we got one down, a few more to go. And successfully being able to shift into this new mission way of driven way of being calls for changes, again, from the infrastructure to the growing of our own emotional and spiritual maturity. Because when you have something that is community driven, there has to be a way for that community to be with each other that really allows the mission to be at the center and not individuals' needs or wants. We need to find a way to how to balance all of that. So as a framework, just to kind of explain some of the components to you this morning, I'm working with, again, Ken Wilber's, his integral mapping system. And it looks like this. So at the top two boxes are all about the individual. The bottom two boxes are all about the collective. The left-hand side is about the interior. The right-hand side is about the exterior. So this is a framework to look at anything. What is the individual internal state? What's the external state? And both individually and collectively. And are those two, it's a way to see if things are in balance, first of all, because all of those components need to be there. So from an emotional and spiritual developmental lens, I'm just taking that little piece looking at this, the four components for a healthy community include, the first one is wake up. Wake up means that we become more and more aware of our wholeness, of our interconnectedness, of the way in which we are part of this large web that is all connected with that source that we call God. That we wake up to who we have come here to be as a spiritual being, and then be able to show up in that way. So the second component up at the top of the individual, once they've woken up, once they have this bigger way of seeing life, then it affects them externally, how they show up. And he calls this the grow up stage. And to me, in the most simplistic terms to share this with you, is looking at Michael Beckwith's spiritual model that he has. He said the way that we evolve spiritually is initially we start out where life happens to me, what often people call the victim role. I have no power, all this stuff just happens to me. As we wake up a little bit more, we discover that life happens by me. That's the exciting part of these principles when we really get to know them and embrace them, is that we have power within us to be a director in the way our life shows up. And then it goes from by me to through me. We wake up even more and realize we're just a channel. We are but the vehicle for which God, which is all God, to express through, and ultimately it's God, or life shows up as me. I become the source. That's the Christ right there. I am just here fully expressing how God is. So that's kind of the grow up stage. Then on the lower left, when we're looking at group culture, to be successful in this mission model, it must include tools that enhance our ability to clean up. So we got wake up, we got grow up, we got clean up. This is the practice of forgiveness. It is the practice of shadow work. It is our ability to be accountable for what we have said we are here to be a part of. It's all those aspects, so that when challenges arise, we know how to be with one another. We know how to navigate through that with respect, with understanding, with an ability to not only just transcend, but to transcend and include as we do that. And then ultimately, on the lower quadrant there, it's show up. It's how we show up then, how we take all of this and how we express that back out into the world to be the very purpose that we say we have come here to be, and make a positive impact on the greater world. Creating opportunities for us to wake up, grow up, clean up, and show up are integral if we're going to be able to fulfill our purpose. And the purpose that this model uses, that invites us to use too, we'll see how well it resonates with us, is, and a purpose like a mission. Our mission is inspiring spiritual growth. The purpose in this model is transforming lives. That's the first half of the purpose. We don't just want to inspire. We want people to use and understand and embody these principles so that it makes a positive difference in their life, so that they can go out and make a positive difference in the world. So the purpose is twofold. It's that transformation that happens internally, and then taking that out and making a positive difference in the world. So up until now, in Unity specifically, perhaps in some of the other denominations, but I'm just going to focus on our lens because this is our lane, and they'll grapple with their own lanes too in the other denominations. We've done really good at the wake-up part, I think. People come in, they hear a different message, they're able to explore and discuss and really get that part of their own spiritual understanding to expand and to include and to change in a way that serves them. And we're also pretty good at the showing up part, how we impact our community. This community has always been very generous and gracious with their time and with their dollars and with their gifts to support different needs out in the community. So the two that really call for a greater focus is on the grow up and the show up part. And as Ken Wilber points out, all the quadrants have to develop to some level of being, or you just kind of stay. It's one thing to wake up to all of this amazing oneness with God, but yet have a whole different way of being and being able to be okay in the world. So as we explore this, and I don't know how it's going to look for us, I don't know how much this community will say yes to different aspects of this. It'll be a journey that we're all going on, but one of the things that I agreed to when I was stepping into this role, that I would do my very best to bring this community to a place where it will have its ability to have this powerful message for the long term. So the question I'd like for each of us to just explore today, because this starts with an introspective work. I can't tell you where you are or what's calling to you, is to see which of these 4 areas for you are most being called to want to grow and evolve a little bit more in. Whether it's waking up to some new way of being, whether it's how do I engage in this life, what's my way of being in the world, is there something that still needs some cleaning up, some forgiveness, or some greater understanding about why those buttons get pushed, when they get pushed, or how it is that we're taking all of this and being a positive influence in the world around us. So as we move into our meditation time, that's what I'm going to invite you to just see where you are in this moment. And this is just for you, but we each have to know individually so that we can all then understand and support each other collectively where we are in our own path of growing up and showing up. So as we just take a moment to take all of this outer information that we've been giving, all this feeling that we have within our community, and just turn that inward for the next few minutes. It's always great to take a deep breath just to focus your mind and your heart and your body into this now moment. Taking a few more breaths just naturally in and out of the body, feeling that rhythm of the body as it just naturally flows. And whenever we do this deep spiritual work, it's always good to be grounded in where we are in this moment. And so imagine, if you will, that there are roots or some kind of energetic grounding force that is going deep into the earth out of your feet, just keeping you solidly in the spiritual journey that you are in right here and right now. And as you go into that internal place where you can truly be with that energy of God, where you can tap into the wisdom of the universe, where you can expand your own perspective into that perspective of love that encompasses all of life. As you go into this sacred place and perhaps just even close the door, simply ask the question, where am I being called in my own spiritual journey? Where's calling me so that I can step into in greater and greater ways that Christ energy, that divine essence from which I have been created? And then just simply take this next few moments of quietness to listen without any preconceived mind ideas about this. Just listen to your heart. Be in this time and in this space and in this wisdom, in the silence. as you begin to bring your attention back to this time and place, aware of your body once again and the chair supporting you, take another deep breath. Once again, bringing every part of your being, mind, body, and spirit fully awake and into this moment. Just take whatever insights you gleaned, or if none arose, then just continue to be open to how they might come through different channels, through different ideas in this day and in the days to come. And whenever you're ready, you can open up your eyes. So I want to just share a little story about this, about how it showed up for me in my own evolution of growth and in the evolution of growth in the community that I served in Roanoke, Virginia. We worked on this for several years there, again, experimenting with different kinds of things. And one day I got a call from one of our members who I knew very well, had been in that church for 40 years, was a great contributor of that church, and asked for a meeting. So I said, sure. We met after service on a Sunday, and she was really, really nervous. She could barely begin to form her words. I thought, uh-oh, something's up. So I just reminded myself, this is always a good, just breathe, just listen. You know, don't try to start jumping ahead or anticipating just be present and listen. And she shared with me that she had had lunch with a couple of former members. They came occasionally, but not that often. And during that lunch period, that both of these other people shared that they didn't feel like I had been a very good, for lack of a better word, pastoral support for them when they'd been going through challenges. And that perhaps it was my lack of pastoral engagement or skill that was causing a decline in our community, as well as, you know, it always ends up affecting the dollars too. And I just said, okay, let me just take this and be with it. And we wrapped up the meeting. I appreciated her sharing with me. And after the meeting, I reached out to our board president to discuss, and I discovered that this member had first reached out to the board president to say, look, she's not doing a very good job in pastoral care. You the board, you're her bosses, you need to get her in line. And that's the way it had been done. This is the way that church operated. You know, when you were unhappy about somebody else, you went to the minister, and if it was the minister, then you went to the board. And to our board president's credit, she said, no, this is something that you need to speak directly with the minister on. That's one of the first things, is you got to have the capacity to have direct conversations on both, to be able to hear when somebody's upset about something, and then to be able to figure out how do you respond to that. And certainly, one of my first reactions, because I'm human, was I got a little defensive. Not to her. I was very good to just listen in there, but, well, wait a minute. I've done a lot. What do you mean I'm not very good? You know, there's all those things. And then I also realized, well, maybe it's time for a little self-examination, because this is the other part of a mature spiritual journey, is we have to look to ourselves. We have to be willing to at least own our part in whatever it is that's going on. And where am I being called to grow? Because every opportunity is an opportunity to learn and to grow and to become better and better. And in my introspection, I took a couple months to do this. I really wanted to be quiet with it before anything, you know, got changed. Well, I did. I first did reach out to these two people and said, I've heard this, I understand this, how can I support you? I went to lunch with one, the other one didn't. The time had passed, wasn't really interested anymore. So I realized, one of my first realizations was that pastoral support was not my natural gift. It is not something that really I felt passionate about. Some ministers do. Reverend Carol was very good at pastoral support. That was one of her gifts. And it's not something that I had a whole lot of training in doing either. I had like one little class that says, here's how you do spiritual support. I have no counseling in my background, as I know many are much more gifted at that in this community than I am. My energy and my focus always tended to be in the training, teaching, managing, even some of the, in many ways, like the business aspect, project managing. I can do that and love to do that. And I also then got some clarity around what was going on with me personally in the midst of all this. And I realized that I was deep in my own grieving process during this time. And this started in 2013 when I lost my dad, and he was the first person in my life that had been a big part of my life that left a huge hole when he was no longer physically present. And then we took on a $750,000 expansion renovation project in the middle of this. We were in the planning stages, and then the next year we actually launched it, which the person who said that they would take on the project management of it stepped away, and guess who ended up taking on another part-time job while this was going on. And then in 2014, my daughter Jessica got married, and 2 weeks later we lost our son, my stepson Trey, to a drug overdose after his battle with addiction for 20 years. And all this was happening during this time frame. And so I had that going on. And then I also looked, because you want to look at, what you have done too. You want this to be balanced. And I, just for my own curiosity, realized that in my first 5 years there, I had done 25 celebrations of life. I had made a few hundred hospital visits. There were several hundred in this community. It was a little bit bigger. I had done many spiritual counseling sessions. And then I realized that I tended to focus on, A, those who didn't have much other support around them, and I always said yes to anybody who reached out to me. And it wasn't an excuse. It wasn't to justify. It was just to try and really get a clear picture of what this looked like from at least my perspective. And it hurt my heart that others could have benefited from my support. And how do we go forward? That was the big question. So understanding all this, how do we move forward? And so as I understood this, I knew I had to get intentional and proactive, that my default wasn't that I was just going to naturally do a lot more pastoral care. It just, that already proven that didn't happen by default. And so we created something called a compassionate care team to expand those who could also be present and be part of that caring for people. And asked anybody who knew somebody who was struggling, because I wasn't intuitive, so if nobody told me that something was going on with somebody, then I didn't necessarily know even to reach out to them. So we had little cards that if you heard somebody was really struggling, that you could let us know. And I also invited everybody to be self-responsible. If you needed my support, then you needed to reach out. It didn't make it less valuable because the minister didn't intuit that you needed support and reached out to you. This is part of how we have to be as a community. If we need something, whether it's from the minister or from the board or from a group that we're in, then we have to be willing to state that need. I know it makes you vulnerable. But if you reach out to me, I promise I'll do whatever I can to be that support for you. And then I turned it into a Sunday message. As you'll discover with me, not immediately, but when I've worked through something and I've gotten clarity about it, then I want it to be an opportunity for others to see how this might be playing out in other aspects of their lives and how they can step in and deal with it. There's a lot that has to begin to unfold and evolve and change within us individually and with us collectively. And as we look at this, I had this synchronistic event happen to me. A few weeks ago, I had a friend from Roanoke driving through on his way to San Antonio, so I met him for lunch. And we chatted for about an hour and a half, and I was asking him because I knew he wasn't going to the Unity Church anymore. He lived about 45 minutes. I said, are you going any place right now? You know, have you found some place that works for you? And he was telling me about this church in Blacksburg, Virginia called Edges. And it is actually a United Methodist church, so there's many others out there trying to see and experiment with what might work to reach the people where they were. And the one thing that I loved, instead of a worship service, they call it worship conversations. And there's little tables, and there's people that sit around, you know, so this is just an area of tables and chairs where people are sitting around. And the way they operate is there's a message, maybe 10 minutes, and then there's a question posed out of that message, and then everybody in their little tables has a discussion about that. 5 minutes, not a long discussion, and then they bring back what that discussion looked like for them to the whole, and it gets wrapped up. Yeah, that's how the Edges Church looks like. But I also loved how they were beginning to reframe and invite people into their community. This is their 4 tenets on their website. So remember, this is a Methodist church. So it's a little different than what you normally say. It says, based on Jesus, we know that. Jesus didn't have any prerequisites, and neither do we. We are a radically inclusive community that welcomes every person, regardless. That love God and love people means you, no matter what. And then they said, we're made for community. It's just that simple. We know both psychologically and spiritually, we are an authentic community where you can be known for who you really are. No pretending necessary. And then they go on to say, Jesus didn't hang out with perfect people, and neither do we. And then their 3rd tenet is questions are encouraged. It's okay to doubt sometimes, really. We believe that by questioning, experiencing, and wondering about our faith together, we find real relationship with God. We don't presume to have all the answers, but trust God will meet us in the midst of our doubt. And finally, they said, Jesus said that we are a body of Christ. And if we take this seriously, that means that God is really moving and speaking through each of us. And that's why we consider our work to be a work of the people. I don't know, it just really resonated with me, and it made me really happy that some of these other traditional denominations are sort of moving out to the edge to see how they can, and they have a very young population. This is what seems to be working with, resonating with, calling in those younger people, looking for something but not wanting to just have to fit into the traditional model. And I want to say this, for all of us baby boomers and traditionalists, we have to find a way to balance both. Because you are also the people that we serve. So I don't know, it's an interesting journey that we get to embark upon. And leading into the unknown often feels a little bit scary. And for me, it's also really exciting, and I hope that generates a little bit of excitement within you. It might feel like chaos at times, because there's just so much and it just doesn't always seem to jibe together. But what we discovered over this last series, that chaos is it's the soup. That's the place that we can be in to create something new out of. And it is out of our willingness to step into this new vision that great ideas are born. It is how this soup of chaotic ideas and ideals is how this country was born, is how this ideal of democracy is born. It is how we get to enjoy the freedoms, especially the freedom of spiritual exploration in the way that serves us the best. So today, we get to celebrate this country with some of the traditional music that has been a part of its history over the last several hundred years. Yes, we'll invite the choir to come up and share that with us. little by little, person by person, they get a little bigger and a little bigger every time that they sing. So if you'd love to sing, you don't have to try out. Just come and be a part of it. 9:30 Sunday mornings. Oh, excuse me, 8:30. Yes, 8:30 Sunday mornings. Yes, thank you for that correction. Well, it is our opportunity now to share of our financial good. Today, the ushers are going to be passing the baskets, and we just want to remind you, every first Sunday, we'll be reminding you that we are also inviting you and gracefully receiving any extra donation that you can make to help pay down our loan. Excuse me. We are celebrating that to date we have received over $11,000. I didn't write down the exact amount, but yes, thanks to many generous donations, we are already one air conditioner down. So we just got another air conditioner and insurance to get paid off, and we will be good to go again. So please be sure, if you are going to give an extra donation to that fund, that you make a note of it, whether you're giving it through credit card, put it in the comments, or cash. Please take an envelope and write on there with it, because that's the only way we know to apply it directly towards the loan. And again, as we've stated, every month, whatever we get in, that will directly go to pay down the line of credit balance. So we're grateful, 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 and we bless every gift that we get in. We bless all of the givers that so generously share with us as we take what we offer today, or the energy of that, into our hands and into our hearts and bless it. Together, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, Father, Mother God.
I'm Madeline. I'm on your board. And if you're watching us for the first time, we're glad you have chosen to join us. We invite you to visit our website and fill out the Connect card. And if you're watching locally, we invite you to visit in person. If you're visiting us for the first time, please complete a visitor card found in the pew pocket in front of you or at the visitor desk in the lobby. And drop it in the box at the back of the sanctuary on your way out. Today we'd like to appreciate all of the people who responded to our Saturday Zoom Spirit Groups Drive for Grace. This week, the much-needed items will be dropped off there so the residents who depend on Grace can restock their pantries and pick up some great toiletry items as well. Grace is always so thankful to receive what we donate, and so to all who donated to this worthy project, we love you, we bless you, we truly appreciate you, and we behold the Christ in you. Namaste. Now, we have an opportunity for volunteers for the Awareness Project next Saturday. Anybody who would like to help out, we have connect information blanks at the entry at the visitor desk. Please pick one up and fill it out. We'd love to have you. Thank you.
Here's what's coming up at Center of Unity. This month, Michelle and Mark Triling, experienced yoga, Qigong, and Tai Chi trainers, are offering a Saturday Qigong series called Therapeutic Qigong for 5-Element Balance. Here, you'll learn the holistic mind-body movement and meditation practice that has been practiced in China for thousands of years. The series is $150 per person. Contact Mark or Michelle to sign up. The Saturday Morning Spirit Group is organizing an outreach opportunity at the Awareness Project, a local group serving the HEB community. To volunteer, simply fill out the form on their website or arrive 30 minutes early and fill out the form that day. Please note, the sign on the building still reads Just Ripe Produce. Join LUT Gigi Johnson for Membership 101 via Zoom on Sunday, July 9th. During this class, you will learn more about the Unity movement in general and Center of Unity in particular. Sign up online and pick up your membership manual at the welcome desk any Sunday prior to the class. Come to Fellowship Hall after service where they're cooking up some extraordinary dishes. Exploring the foods of various cultures, this month we'll enjoy Polish dishes, all for a love offering. Anyone who might have traditional dishes in the month's theme is welcome to contribute. Please email Jessica for planning purposes. There are multiple ways you can make a donation to Center of Unity. You can drop your donation off at the church, mail it to our P.O. Box, visit our website, or use the COU or Venmo app. Your continued support is greatly appreciated.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us this week. We hope to see you all again next week. And I believe our kids are back there. Shall we sing them in, Bob?
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Let's do it again.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Here she comes down the aisle.
Ooh, it's hot and muggy out there. All right, so today was our first day of Wet and Messy Sunday School, and they got to do some Minute to Win It games. And so they all wanted to share.
We made red, white, and blue slime for 4th of July.
Today we made red, white, and blue slime.
Today we made slime and it was very hard to get it off our hands.
Today we had a rocket race. We got water and squirted it so it had to move. We threw some paper airplanes at the watermelon.
And thank you.
All right. So why don't we all go ahead and stand up? Let's join hands and let's do our peace song together.
Let there be peace on
we go out this week to make a positive difference in our lives and in the world we go, knowing our prayer for protection. Together, the light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. All right, you do this.